Right, good evening guys. First of all, let me introduce myself. I am CA Pavan Kumar, Chartered Accountant, and I am faculty for Law and GST. As far as our class concerned, I am going to start with indirect taxation. Whether you are pursuing CA final or CMA final, the syllabus of indirect taxation is same. మీరు indirect taxes ఏదైతే ఉందో GST, customs and foreign trade policies, whether it may be for CMA final or CA final, the syllabus will remain same. ఏదైతే ఎగ్జామ్ పర్పసెస్కి మీరు చదువుకుంటారో కంటెంట్ మొత్తం సేమ్గా ఉంటుందమ్మా. అండ్ ఐ హోప్ దట్ యాజ్ యూ నో సిఎంఏ ఫైనల్ చదువుకునే వాళ్ళకైతే జిఎస్టీ ఫర్ 50 మార్క్స్, కస్టమ్స్ ఎన్నమ్మా 20 మార్క్స్ అండ్ 10 మార్క్స్ ఎఫ్టీపీ ఫారిన్ ట్రేడ్ పాలసీ అండ్ కేస్ స్టడీ అనాలిసిస్ వచ్చేటప్పటికి ఏమా 20 మార్క్స్, టోటలీ 100 మార్క్స్ పేపర్. సో జిఎస్టీ కన్సర్న్ సో 2 పార్ట్స్కి డివైడ్ చేసి చెప్తున్నాను మార్క్స్కి సంబంధించి సిలబస్ ఫర్ సిఎంఏ స్టూడెంట్స్ అండ్ సిఏ స్టూడెంట్స్. ఫర్ సిఎంఏ సిఎంఏ ఆల్సో బీ డినోటెడ్ యాజ్ సిఏ ఓన్లీ, చార్టర్డ్ అకౌంటెంట్స్ అండ్ కాస్ట్ అకౌంటెంట్స్. మీకు అర్థం అవడానికి అలా రాశాను అంతే, రైట్? సో జిఎస్టీ 50 మార్క్స్ అండ్ కస్టమ్స్ లా ఎన్ని మార్క్స్ 20 marks and foreign trade policies 10 marks and case study concern 20 marks. Totally this is the paper for 100 marks for CMA final. And now CA final concern. Okay. Now, CA final students concern, GST is for 75 marks, customs and foreign trade policies 25 marks, totally 100 marks paper. Totally 100 marks paper. So once you learn the concept elaborately, whether it may be questions asked under the CMA syllabus or CA syllabus, irrespective of the fact, you will be in a position to write a clear cut answer. My ఎక్కడైనా యాక్టే లా అనే ప్రొవిజనే, ఎక్సెప్షన్ ట్యాక్సిబిలిటీ. సిఎంఏలో ఎగ్జామ్ట్ అయితే సిఏలో ట్యాక్సిబుల్ అవ్వదు, సిఏలో ఎగ్జామ్ట్ అయితే సిఎంఏలో ట్యాక్సిబిలిటీ ఉండదు. అలాంటిది ఏమీ ఉండదమ్మా, ఎక్కడైనా యాక్టే. సో ఇండైరెక్ట్ ట్యాక్స్లో మాత్రమే ఉన్న ఫ్లెక్సిబిలిటీ ఇది. ఆల్మోస్ట్ మీరు 8 సబ్జెక్ట్స్ని కంపేర్ చేసుకుంటే ఇండైరెక్ట్ ట్యాక్సేషన్లో మాత్రమే సిఏ సిఎంఏ సిలబస్ సేమ్గా ఉంటుంది, ఎటువంటి చేంజ్ అనేది లేదు. బట్ ఏంటంటే మార్క్స్ అనేది డిఫర్ అవ్వచ్చు. ఇస్ ఇట్ క్లియర్? సో దట్ అవుట్ ఆఫ్ విచ్ వీఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు స్టార్ట్ విత్ జిఎస్టీ, గూడ్స్ అండ్ సర్వీస్ ట్యాక్స్ యాక్ట్, రైట్? నౌ out of which the first topic, what is the first chapter? GST in India and introduction. The first of all, as you know that GST is one of the indirect tax. GST is one of the indirect tax. When it is a concept of the indirect tax, first we have to know what is the meaning of the tax. Tell me, what is the meaning of the tax and why the government has to levy the tax on the public? Is it? ఎందుకమ్మా గవర్నమెంట్ ట్యాక్స్ని లెవీ చేయాలి పబ్లిక్ మీద? పబ్లిక్ సర్వీసెస్ మీద. పబ్లిక్ సర్వీసెస్ ఇవ్వాలి. ఏమి ఇవ్వాలి? పబ్లిక్ హ్యాస్ టు ప్రొవైడ్ వేరియస్ సర్వీసెస్ లైక్ యాజ్ హాస్పిటాలిటీ, ఫుడ్, ఎడ్యుకేషన్, సెక్యూరిటీ, ఎక్సెట్రా. ఫర్ ప్రొవైడింగ్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ దీస్ సర్వీసెస్ గవర్నమెంట్ నీడ్ ఏ ఫండ్. Do you know what is the budget amount of the central government in the previous year? That is for 21 and 22 financial, 22 and 23 financial year. What is the budget of central government? Can you guess? Chapna? Intara? 40 lakhs. What is that? 40 lakhs crores. 40 lakhs of crores money. That money is required to the government in this year to run the government, to provide, as you said, for providing of the social welfare activities, for development and prosperity of the country. For this year, the central government has to earn 40 lakhs crores. It is not the single 1 crore, 100 crore, 1000 crore, lakhs of crores, 40 lakhs of crores is the government budget. Then how the government going to get that proceeds, that much of money? Weapons konali, government public ki food, free hospitality, free education, infrastructure ఇవన్నీ కావాలి. మరి అంత మనీ ఎక్కడి నుంచి వస్తుంది? Government has to do the business, but government also doing the business in the form of the telecommunication spectrum sale. Government land ఉన్నాయి, వాటిని రెంట్కి ఇస్తున్నారు. Is it? ఇలా గవర్నమెంట్ లైసెన్స్ని గ్రాంట్ చేయడం, ఇలా డిఫరెంట్ ఏరియాస్లో రెవెన్యూ వస్తుంది మా, బట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ సఫిషియంట్. ఇట్స్ నాట్ సఫిషియంట్. అది సఫిషియంట్ కాదు. సపోజ్ మీరు గల్ఫ్ కంట్రీస్ చూసారనుకోండి, గల్ఫ్ కంట్రీస్లో ట్యాక్స్ స్ట్రక్చర్ అనేది పెద్దగా ఉండదు. రీజన్ దే ఆర్ ద గవర్నమెంట్ ఈజ్ ఇన్ ఏ పొజిషన్ టు జనరేట్ ద రెవెన్యూ. గల్ఫ్ కంట్రీస్లో తనే రెవెన్యూ జనరేట్ చేసుకుంటుంది. ఎలా? టూరిజం, పెట్రోల్ని ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ చేసి వేరే కంట్రీకి ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ చేయడం ద్వారా మనీని బాగా ఎర్న్ చేస్తున్నారు. సో అలా ఎర్న్ చేస్తున్నప్పుడు పబ్లిక్ మీద ట్యాక్స్ లెవీ చేసేయాల్సినటువంటి అవసరం ఏమీ పెద్దగా ఉండకపోవచ్చు, ఉండొచ్చు కానీ, బట్ ఇట్ కుడ్ బి ఎ లిటిల్ బిట్. బట్ ద ఇండియన్ గవర్నమెంట్ ఈస్ నాట్ ఇన్ ఎ పొజిషన్ టు దట్ మచ్ ఆఫ్ ద రెవెన్యూ, సో దట్ ద గవర్నమెంట్ ఫోర్సబుల్లీ has to levy the tax on the public, right? Approximately GST collection in the previous month, do you know what is the previous month collection of GST? Can you guess? GST collections in previous month, continuously 2 months, 1,40,000 crores per month, only from GST, only from GST. 1,40,000 crores in a month. Then what could be the collection in a year? In a year, approximately 12 and 16 to 18 lakh crores only from the GST. That is the area. And you are the people, chartered accountants or cost accountants, you are going to pay this amount to the government. You are the people who are experts in the field of the indirect taxes, GST. Is it right? No? And you are the people who has a right to give a certification and auditing under these respective acts. ఈ యాక్ట్స్ ప్రకారం మీకు ఆడిట్ చేసేటువంటి రైట్, సర్టిఫికేట్ చేసే రైట్ ఎవరికి ఉందంటే చార్టర్డ్ అకౌంటెంట్స్, కాస్ట్ అకౌంటెంట్స్. ఎందుకు మీకు మాత్రమే ఆ రైట్ ఇచ్చారంటేను, యు ఆర్ ద పర్సన్స్ హు ఆర్ ఎక్స్పర్ట్ ఇన్ ఇండియా ఇన్ దిస్ ఫీల్డ్. ఇండైరెక్ట్ ట్యాక్స్ అంటే మీరే ఫస్ట్ ఎక్స్పర్ట్స్. మా మెడికల్ ఫీల్డ్ అంటే డాక్టర్స్ ఎక్స్పర్ట్ కాదను, ఇంకేదైనా క్రిమినల్ లాస్ అనుకోండి లాయర్స్ ఎక్స్పర్ట్ కాదను. బట్ ఇండైరెక్ట్ ట్యాక్సెస్ అండ్ ఇన్కమ్ ట్యాక్స్ వచ్చేటప్పటికి ఈ 2 ఏరియాస్లో మీరే కదా ఎక్స్పర్ట్. ఇస్ ఇట్? నౌ యు ఆర్ ద పీపుల్ హు ఆర్ మేకింగ్ టు పే అరౌండ్ 18 lakhs of crores to the government in the name of GST. And apart from that, the government getting around 10 to 12 lakhs of crores from income tax. So that the tax world, it is a big revenue to the government. Remember, almost 70 to 80% of the revenue only from the taxes in India. So you are the chartered accountants or cost accountants who are making to pay or to ensure around the government getting 25 lakhs of crores to 30 lakhs of crores in a year. The balance of 8 or 10 lakhs of crores government getting revenue in other ways. Might be loan or disinvestment or from the government business or the dividend, etc. Right? Okay. So that when the government need that much of the money, government has to impose the taxes. Is it? And now the taxes are 2 types. Entamavi? As you know, direct taxes and indirect taxes. Direct tax, right? Direct tax ki indirect tax no difference enti? Just చిన్న ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చెప్తాను మా, ఎందుకంటే ఇండైరెక్ట్ ట్యాక్స్ స్టార్ట్ చేస్తున్నా కదా, డైరెక్ట్లీ ఐ కెన్ స్టార్ట్ విత్ ద కాన్సెప్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద సప్లై విత్ సెక్షన్ 7. But I am intended to start all these basic concepts. Reason, first of all, I have to create a small indirect tax flavor for you. Reason, మీరు ఏదో కొంత గ్యాప్తో వచ్చి ఉంటారు, ఇలాంటప్పుడు టెక్నికల్ వర్డ్స్ ఏవైతే యూస్ చేయాలో వాటిని మర్చిపోయి ఉంటారు అనేది నా ప్రజంప్షన్, నా సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్ కోసం మాత్రమే ఒక 4 to 5 hours ఆఫ్ క్లాస్ బేసిక్స్ చెప్తున్నాను అంతే, నా సాటిస్ఫాక్షన్ కోసం. అదర్వైజ్ ఐ హ్యావ్ టు స్టార్ట్ విత్ ద కాన్సెప్ట్ ఆఫ్ ది సప్లై. బట్ ఈ 4-5 hours ఆఫ్ క్లాస్ మీకు మంచి ఇండైరెక్ట్ ట్యాక్స్ ఫ్లేవర్ అయితే ఇస్తుంది. సో సీ హియర్, where a person supplying the good or services, there we are liable for payment of GST. Where a person making supply of good or service, there he is liable for payment of GST. Let us assume you are the person who is a chartered accountant or a cost accountant, you are rendering services to the company, right? And let us assume here The value of supply, the value of supply is 30 lakhs. What is the value of supply? 30 lakhs. In this situation, you are rendering a service. You are rendering a service. Under the GST, you will be called as the person who making the supply of the good or supply of the recipient. Sorry, the person who making the supply of the good or supply of the service, he is called supplier. And the person who receiving the good or service is known as recipient. Generally, in the commercial form, you may use the word of the seller and buyer, service provider and service recipient. In commercially, you may use these words, but as far as the GST concern, you have to use the word of the supplier and recipient. The person who making the supply is known as the supplier, and the person who receiving the goods or services is known as recipient. And now whatever the amount of consideration received, it is known as value of supply. It is known as value of supply. Now we use the three technical words: supplier, recipient, value of supply. The person who supplying the good or service is known as supplier, and now the person who is liable for payment of the consideration, that is a recipient. And now whatever the amount of value charged for supply of the good or service is known as value of supply, on which we are liable for payment of GST. Let us assume GST is at the rate of 18%, totally 3.6 lakhs. Is it 3.6 lakhs? No. How much it is? 18%. ఆలోచిస్తున్నారు, టేబుల్స్ మర్చిపోయారు, ఎక్కలు మర్చిపోయారు, రైట్. సో 35.4 lakhs. Now the supplier has to receive 35.4 lakhs from the recipient, out of which he has to remit GST to the government. How much? 5.4 lakhs. Is it? Now here the person who is liable for payment of the tax, supplier. The person who is liable for payment of the tax, supplier. Is it? So that is called incidence lies on supplier, but on the recipient concern, impact. The beauty of indirect tax is incidence lies on one person and impact will be lies on another person. Incidence means, in my incidence ante just liability to pay. Impact comes liability to bear. See here, supplier has to pay tax, but he won't pay such tax from his pocket. He recovered from other person. So that incidence lies on one person and impact will be lies on another person. That is the beauty of the indirect tax. Suppose if you are going to hotel and you are asking a food and he supplied the food, and after the bill, suppose let us assume the value of the bill it is 1000 rupees and GST 50, totally 1050 rupees. In this situation, who is the supplier? The hotel person is a supplier and you are the recipient. How much of GST you paid? 50 rupees. Now in this situation, incidence lies on hotel person, supplier, and the impact lies on consumer, that is you. Is it right? Suppose if you are going and booking a cinema ticket, movie ticket, suppose take an example, PVR, right? You are going to get a cinema ticket of worth of 200 rupees and 36 rupees of GST. In this situation, who is the supplier? PVR Cinemas is a supplier and you are the recipient. Now in this situation, incidence lies on supplier, that is PVR movies. Impact lies on us, that is nothing but customer. Likewise, indirect tax has to be paid by the supplier, but such tax recovered from the recipient. Is it clear? And now in such a manner, the framing or the concept of the GST will be like this: supplier is liable for payment of the tax, but he won't pay such tax from his own pocket. He will be recovered from the recipient, and such tax amount will be remitted to the government. You see, now in this situation, what is the income or earnings of the chartered accountant or cost accountant? 30 lakh rupees. No, total he recovered 35.4 lakhs from the recipient and 5.4 lakhs remitted to the government. Is it? Now 30 lakh rupees is in his pocket. No, is it? Now income. Now, income of the person, how much? 30 lakhs. Income of the person, it is 30 lakhs. Now, less expenses could be salary, rent, depreciation, electricity, article stipend. Is it any other expenses? Is it suppose salary 10 lakhs, rent 5 lakhs, depreciation 2 lakhs, electricity 1 lakh, and next stamp duty, etc., stationery, etc., 1 lakh, other expenses 1 lakh. Now, what is the net income or the total income? Entama? 10 lakhs, on which now he is liable for payment of the pay income tax on it. Is it? Now the doubt will arise, sir, already we paid GST, no? On 30 lakhs already we paid GST, no? Yes, you paid the GST, but you didn't pay such amount from your own pocket. It is recovered from some other person. So then what I have to do? Now you recovered 30 lakh rupees from the recipient, no? Claim all your expenditure and whatever the income you are getting, on which you are liable for payment of the income tax. So now, am I liable for payment of the income tax on it? Yes, we have to pay. Suppose take an example, after considering of the all basic exemption limits, the income tax payable it is 3 lakhs, let us assume. Now he has to discharge 3 lakh rupees from his own pocket. That is the nature of the income tax. Now this income tax, in our example, who has to pay? The concerned chartered accountant or cost accountant has to pay to the government, no? He has to pay, that too from his own pocket. So that in the direct tax what will happen? Incidence as well as impact, both will lies on the same person. The incidence and impact both will lies on same person. That is the beauty of the direct tax. But whereas indirect tax concern, incidence lies on one person and impact will be lies on another person. Suppose while direct tax faculty taking the class, my income I have to pay, is it? But under the indirect taxes we will say, we won't say that we have to pay, right? We will collect and pay. Is it? Direct tax like మనం కట్టాలి, నా పాకెట్ నుంచి కట్టాలి అంటాం. బట్ ఇండైరెక్ట్ ట్యాక్స్లో మన పాకెట్ నుంచి ఏం కట్టాం, వేరే వాళ్ళ దగ్గర నుంచి కలెక్ట్ చేసి కడతాం. దట్ ఈస్ ద బ్యూటీ. ఇస్ ఇట్? నౌ ఇండైరెక్ట్ ట్యాక్స్కి ఈ డైరెక్ట్ ట్యాక్సెస్కి ఉన్నటువంటి వన్ ఆఫ్ ద బ్యూటిఫుల్ డిఫరెన్స్ ఇది మా. Indirect tax is a transaction based tax. ఏంటి? Transaction based tax. Is it? Suppose you are the future chartered accountant or a cost accountant, you are let us assume you are going into the practice. Now suppose one assessee, he is doing the business of, let us assume he is selling electrical goods, and suppose his turnover is a 50 lakhs. His turnover is 50 lakhs. Now you will make or you will give a suggestion that, sir, on monthly basis you have to pay indirect tax to the government. Is it? On monthly basis he has to pay indirect tax to the government, that too on transaction value, that too on transaction value every month. Suppose in the month of April, what is your turnover? Sir, in the April month just 3 lakhs, pay 3 lakhs GST on it. Next in the month of May, sir, 4 lakhs, pay GST on it. Sir, in the month of June, 8 lakhs, pay GST on it. On monthly basis we will make him to pay GST to the government. After the end of the year again we will ask, sir, what is the turnover of you? Sir, totally in the previous year 50 lakhs my turnover, right? After reducing of all the expenditure, around I am getting 40 lakh rupees of income. Okay, good, then pay income tax on it. Now then he will ask, sir, every month we are paying indirect tax to the government, no? Yes, we are paying GST to the government, but please adjust with that, no? Please adjust that GST amount with income tax, sir. Again, why you are making me to pay income tax to the government? Is it? సింపుల్ అడుగుతారు, నెల జిఎస్టీ కట్టేస్తున్నారు కదా సార్, కొంచెం అలా అడ్జస్ట్ చేయండి సార్. ఏంటి అడ్జస్ట్ చేసేది? అది జిఎస్టీ, ఇది ఇన్కమ్ ట్యాక్స్. జిఎస్టీ ఏంటి? ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ బేస్డ్ ట్యాక్స్. నేను నీ పాకెట్ నుంచి కలెక్ట్ చేయమన్నా, పే చేయమన్నా, కస్టమర్ దగ్గర నుంచి కలెక్ట్ చేస్తావు, డబ్బులు నీ పాకెట్లో వేసుకో, జిఎస్టీ గవర్నమెంట్కి ఇవ్వు, నెల నెల చేయించింది అదే కదా. ఆన్ మంత్లీ బేసిస్ వీఆర్ పేయింగ్ ట్యాక్స్ టు ద గవర్నమెంట్ and such tax amount not paid from your own pocket, no? Yes, sir. Then now you have to pay income tax from your own pocket. Total out of the 50 lakh rupees, reduce all the expenditure, salary, purchases and rent, electricity, depreciation, stationery, other expenditure, everything is 36 lakhs, sir. Good. On 14 lakhs, whatever the income tax you have to pay, please discharge. In such a manner we have to give a suggestion. So direct taxes differ from the indirect taxes. Only because of the reason if you are paying indirect tax, direct tax is not an exempt. Suppose only because of the reason you are paying any direct tax, indirect tax is not exempt. Are you getting my word? Is it? So these are the two different aspects. These are the two different aspects. And as we know, indirect tax is a transaction based tax. While you are paying the tax, you should not reduce any expenditure. See here, while you are receiving of proceeds from the recipient, whatever the 30 lakh rupees you received, on which we are liable for payment of GST. Is it? On which we are liable for payment of GST. So while calculation of GST, we should not reduce any expenditure. But the beauty, see here, income tax, while payment of the income tax, whatever the expenditure we incurred, all such expenditure reduced from the income. Is it? So that indirect tax is a transaction based tax. If any transaction taken place, on which you have to pay GST, that's it. Food, 1000 rupees transaction, pay GST on it. Cinema ticket, 200 rupees, pay GST on it. For rendering of such service or for supplying of the good, whatever the expenditure incurred, it is irrelevant. Just what is the value at which transaction taken place, on which you are liable for payment of the GST. But whereas income tax concerned, whatever the income you earn after reducing of all the expenditure, whatever the income you are getting, on which you are liable for payment of the income tax. Is it? So that income tax is a progressive nature. If your income increases, then your tax portion will increase. But indirect tax is regressive nature, irrespective of the fact whether you are getting income or profit or loss, whether you may be rich or poor, you have to bear equal amount of the indirect tax. Suppose I am a middle class person, I am going to purchase a movie ticket, 200 rupees plus 36 rupees of GST. Suppose a rich person coming and purchasing of the movie ticket, he has to bear same amount of the indirect tax. Suppose where a poor person, suppose yearly once he is intended to go for a movie, it is a dream for his family, yearly once, right? Suppose even then they have to bear 36 rupees of GST. So that indirect tax is a regressive nature, irrespective of the fact whether you may be rich or poor, you have to bear the equal amount of the indirect tax. Is it clear? So that is the difference of the indirect taxes, direct taxes and indirect taxes. Now, first of all, let me explain. Before explaining the concept of the GST, first of all, let me give some basic concepts before introducing of the GST. As we know, GST came into the picture. GST came into the picture or in force with effective from 1/7/2017. Then what is the concept before to the 1/7/2017? ఐడియా ఉందమ్మా ఆల్రెడీ? ఏంటమ్మా అది కాన్సెప్ట్? ఈటీ ఇండైరెక్ట్ ట్యాక్స్ రాకముందు, సారీ జిఎస్టీ రాకముందు. GST came to the force with effective from 1/7/2017. Okay, it's good. Then what was the concept before introducing of the GST? No indirect tax? Yes, there, no? Marenma. Suppose earlier, if you are doing any manufacture activity, you are liable for payment of the excise duty. Suppose let us assume you are manufacturing a mobile phone. After manufacturing of the mobile phone, if you are clearing goods from the factory, now the excise department, central excise department will come and ask, stop, what you are doing, sir? Sir, just I manufacture mobile phones and clearing from my factory, then you have to pay excise duty. Now concerned manufacturer may argue, sir, I am not going for sale, just I manufactured, that's it. Yeah, it's enough, yeah. You are liable for payment of excise duty only at the time of manufacture, irrespective of the fact whether you are going for sale or any other purpose. I don't need those things. Just if you are doing manufacture activity, pay excise duty to the government. My God. And such excise duty will goes to the central government. Who will enjoy such revenue? Central government. Now the manufacturer paid the excise duty. It became as a working capital. For manufacture of the goods, whatever the cost he has to incur, in the same way he has to incur cost for excise duty. Reason while he is paying excise duty, he don't have a money. He didn't receive any consideration from the recipient. Is it? But still he is liable for payment of the excise duty. Before receiving of any consideration, if he is paying excise duty to the government, it would amount to like as a working capital, no? For manufacturing of the goods, how he has to borrow money, the same way for payment of the excise duty also, he has to borrow money from some other person. Is it clear? Okay, hardly paid excise duty to the government and he started vehicle and is going on. Zoom. Now the state government will come. Stop again. Sir, just I paid excess duty to the government. Yes, now you have to pay VAT. Sir, why sir I have to pay VAT? For manufacturing of the goods you have to pay excess duty. If there is any concept of the intra-state sale, what is that? Intra-state sale, you are liable for payment of the VAT. Sir, how much VAT? 14.5%. Already paid excess duty on an average of 12%. Already paid 12% of the excess duty. Now he has to bear 14.5% of the VAT, being it is intra-state sale. VAT. What is the amount? VAT. Now this revenue will goes to the state government. Now the manufacturer is thinking, hurry yaar, only because of manufacture I have to pay excess duty to the central government. It's okay. And again, while I'm going for selling within the state, I have to pay VAT to the state government. Okay, on a single transaction, he has to pay 2 indirect taxes. On a single transaction, he has to pay 2 indirect taxes. And now consider the third one. Suppose it is an interstate sale. Intra means within the state. Inter means interstate sale means in between two states. Suppose AP to Tamil Nadu, Tamil Nadu to Kerala, Kerala to Karnataka, like this. One state to another state. Suppose earlier a good has been manufactured. Suppose he manufacturing, let us assume furniture. On manufacture of the furniture, he is liable for payment of the excess duty. He remitted excess duty to the government. Now the vehicle started. Now Andhra Pradesh to Telangana. Now the state government will stop. So what we are doing? So just I manufactured the furniture, I paid excess duty. Now, where you want to sell these goods? Sir, I would like to sell these goods to the Telangana person. Very good. Now you are liable for payment of the CST. Reason it is interstate sale. Interstate sale. There we are liable for payment of central sales tax. Actually, such central sales tax was levied by the central government, but collected and enjoyed by the state government only. That means CST revenue goes to the state. Likewise, central revenue differ, state revenue is differ. If a person manufacturing good, no, just the central government will collect excess duty and go. Now, immediately the state government will come. Hey, stop. After manufacturing, where you are going? Sir, I am selling these goods to other state or within the state. Very good. If you are selling within the state, no, pay VAT. If you are willing to sell such good to other state, pay CST. Which one do you want? అదే ఆఫర్ ఇచ్చినట్టు ఏది కావాలి చెప్పు. Yes, we have to pay. Is it? And apart from that, if you are doing any service activity, you are liable for payment of service tax. Suppose you manufactured the mobile phone. On manufacture you paid excess duty. While you are selling mobile phone, you paid VAT or CST. If it is intra, you are liable for payment of the VAT. If it is an inter, you are liable for payment of the CST. You paid excess duty, VAT or CST. And now after selling of the mobile phone, suppose it came for repair. If you are doing some repair activity, repair and maintenance, and you are collecting a nominal amount of 500 rupees, now the service tax department will come. Stop, what you are doing? Sir, just I am doing some repair and maintenance services. What is the consideration? 500 rupees, pay service tax on it. Sir, already paid excess duty, VAT on it, no? For manufacture excise, central government, and VAT and CST you given to the state, not for me. Oh, I see. Yeah, definitely we'll see. Right? Now, and the next situation. Now you are doing the activity of service, then pay service tax to the government. And so service tax revenue goes to the will goes to the central government. So this was the position. The excess duty and service tax revenue enjoyed by the central, VAT and CST revenue enjoyed by the state. Is it? But the problem it is, see here, where a new business person coming to India, he is intended to start any business. Suppose let us assume he is behind to the Modi sir. Suppose he came from other country and sitting behind to the Modi sir, and he is participating in Make in India program. Now suppose he asked to the Modi sir, before to the introducing of GST, suppose he asked like this, sir, I would like to start a business in India. Can you explain what type of the taxes I have to pay? अरे यार कुछ भी नहीं, अभी तो आप मैन्युफैक्चर किया तो इंडिया पे एक्सेस ड्यूटी पे करना पड़ेगा. ओके, और अगर मैन्युफैक्चर करने के बाद वो गुड विद इन द स्टेट पे सेल किया तो वैट पे करना पड़ेगा. आई सी. या एंड नेक्स्ट, सपोज वही प्रोडक्ट दूसरी स्टेट को सेल किया तो CST पे करना पड़ेगा। ओके, मगर वही प्रोडक्ट सर्विस के लिए आया तो सर्विस टैक्स पे करना पड़ेगा। गुड, और मगर ही वोंट बी देयर, is it? So I am coming to India for doing of the business, not for complying with the indirect taxes and for payment of the indirect taxes. Suppose see here, if any problem arises, what will happen? See, if any while filing of the return, he has to file monthly 4 returns. No reason, 4 taxes, 4 returns. He has to appoint 4 experts. If any mistake occurred, 4 prosecutions, 4 penalties. He has to wander with the 4 departments. Whether he has to do the business or he has to wander with the indirect tax department. What he has to do? Actually, when he is doing business properly, then he will willing to pay indirect tax to the government. And such indirect tax must be, it should not be burden to the it should not be burden to the free flow of the business. Is it? First of all, the indirect tax structure has to give a free flow to the business. When a business person doing a free flow, automatically he will be willing to comply with the indirect tax provisions. Is it right? The indirect tax system should not be burden or hurdle to the business person. అరే వ్యాపారం చేసుకోవాలన్నా ముందుగా ఏం చేయాలి? నేను ఈ ఇండైరెక్ట్ ట్యాక్స్ ప్రొవిజన్ కంప్లై చేయాలంటే నేను వ్యాపారం చేయమంటావు, ఇది చేయమంటావు. వ్యాపారం జరిగి రూపాయి వస్తే నీకు పావులా ఇస్తాను. మరి ఆ రూపాయి వ్యాపారం చేయడానికి నువ్వు ఇండైరెక్ట్ ట్యాక్స్ని తీసుకొచ్చి అడ్డంగా పెడితే నేను ఎలా వ్యాపారం చేస్తాను? Is it? So that was the position. Just it is one of the administrative burden, that's it. ఇలా కాకుండా ఫైనాన్షియల్ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ కూడా చాలా ఉన్నాయి ఈ ఇండైరెక్ట్ ట్యాక్సెస్లో ఇంతకుముందు. వాటి న్యూమరికల్స్గా నేను చెప్తాను. అవి న్యూమరికల్స్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ తీసుకొని ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తాను. బట్ ప్రజెంట్ అర్థమైందా? ఇలాంటి ఇండైరెక్ట్ ట్యాక్స్ స్ట్రక్చర్ ఉండేదమ్మా. దీంతో పాటు ఇంకోటి ఏముండేది? సపోజ్ ఇఫ్ యూ ఆర్ డూయింగ్ ఎనీ ఇంపోర్ట్ or export activity, you have to pay customs duty, and such customs duty enjoyed by the central government. Is it? Now, by considering of the various limitations in the earlier indirect tax system, Indian government forcibly introduced GST with effect from 1/7/2017. In GST, excise, VAT, CST, service tax, all these taxes are subsumed in GST. Earlier, if manufacturer done, central government supposed to get the revenue. If there is any concept of the intrastate sale or interstate sale, state government supposed to get the revenue. Now the both combinedly they are saying that, dear state government and central government. Central government saying that, dear state government, come here, please sit. If any manufacture or sale transaction done, no, don't consider this as a manufacture and sale. Just consider a transaction as a single transaction, supply good from one person to another person. There we will charge the GST. Please get off of the revenue and I will get off of the revenue. Deal okay? Yes, double okay. Now the state government saying that, dear central government, if any service rendered from one person to another person, there we were supposed to charge service tax. No, please don't charge service tax there. We will charge GST. Half of the revenue for me and half of the revenue to you. Like, so the state government and central government combinedly they are levying GST on the supply of the good or service. So if any supply of the good or service taken place, on which the central and state government combinedly levying taxes and half of the revenue to the central, half of the revenue to the state. That is understanding. But for under the earlier indirect tax system, we said we seen different types of the levy points. But under the GST, one and only the levy point, that is called, what is the levy point for GST? మా ఇంతకుముందు చెప్పిన విధంగా ఇదేంటిది? లెవీ. వేటి మీద లెవీ చేస్తారంటే మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చర్ మీద. ఏంటి ట్యాక్స్ ఆర్ డ్యూటీ? ఎక్సైజ్. వ్యాట్ దేని మీద లెవీ చేసేవాళ్ళంటే ఇంట్రాస్టేట్ సేల్. సిఎస్టీ దేని మీద లెవీ చేసేవాళ్ళంటే ఇంటర్స్టేట్. సర్వీస్ ట్యాక్స్ దేని మీద? సర్వీసెస్ మీద. కస్టమ్స్ డ్యూటీ దేని మీద? ఇంపోర్ట్ ఆర్ ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ ఆఫ్ ది గూడ్స్ మీద. అలా ఇప్పుడు జిఎస్టీ వేటి మీద లెవీ చేస్తున్నారు? జిఎస్టీ లెవీడ్ ఆన్. వాట్ ఈస్ ద లెవీ పాయింట్? What is the levy point for GST? Supply of goods or services. That is a levy point for GST. If there is any supply of the good or service. Sir, then what is the meaning of the supply? What is the meaning of the supply? We will discuss. But if you consider the earlier indirect tax system, no, if you've seen or observed the words of the manufacture, sale, these are the commercial words. No need to explain what is the meaning of the manufacture, what is the meaning of the sale. Generally, prima facie, you are in a position to understand some extent what is the meaning of the manufacture and what is the meaning of the sale. But under the GST levied on supply of the good or service. Now there is an ambiguity that supply is a general word. Might be you come across the word in economics, supply and demand. That supply is different, and here the word usage of the context is different. Then what is the meaning of the supply here? We are going to discuss what is the meaning of the supply in the second chapter. Approximately we are going to spend 8 to 10 hours on it, on the topic. What is the meaning of the supply? When we can consider a transaction as a supply and when we won't consider such transaction as a supply. All those things we will discuss elaborately. Now, is it clear? What are the taxes that are subsumed in GST? Excise, VAT, CST and service tax. Customs duty not subsumed in GST. Still it is in exist. So that today examples for indirect tax concern, the first one it is GST and the second one customs duty. Only these two indirect taxes are exist. If any other indirect taxes are exist, we will discuss later. But first of all, remember like this. So in this session, just I given an awareness about the what is the syllabus for CMA final and CA final, as you know, right? And the next one, just I started with the meaning of the word of tax, why the government has to levy the tax on the public, and the second one we discussed the differences between direct tax and indirect taxes, and the third one we discussed the tax structure before introducing of the GST. In the next session we will start with after introducing of GST. That's all for the day. The remaining concept we will discuss next class. Have a nice day. Good night.